remain. I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, then I invite you to join me.
Welcome to another episode of You Left Shit Out. For now, if somebody else joins, I guess we'll adjust that. Some people might drop in. I won't say who yet. So the way Tulsi used the word woke is what we're going to be analyzing today. Because RBN, Nick and I, Rome, JB, Sabby, we've been having this discussion about our frustration with the misuse of this word. And you know, no one actually, I YouTube this, or I searched on YouTube for content about this, and no one is online that I could find clearly explaining sort of what this is in a straightforward, just the video just solely about that. So that's what we're going to be analyzing today. So the way that Tulsi, and I'll play it again just the last maybe 20 seconds, the way that Tulsi uses the word woke in this video is incorrect. So this is not the meaning of the word. This is the co-opted use of the word woke. So and there's leftists, or people who call themselves leftists. She was one of them. I don't know if she ever actually self-identified herself. People kind of gave her that label. But when you see leftists or people on the left who should know what this word means, use it in the way that a reactionary uses it. Now let's make sure we understand that anyone who's using the word in this way may not, if they're leftists, maybe they don't give them the benefit of doubt, and maybe they don't know they're using it in a way that's reactionary, and that's what we're gonna kind of explain. And one of the process of how this word has been flipped is called recuperation. I covered this in a different video. It was a second thought video I did about how capitalism co-ops radical movements. In that video, it gave the example of BLM, how what BLM is now is not what BLM initially became to be, because it was co-opted, which may be a shorter version of recuperation, but no, it was co-opted. So that's what we're going to be talking about, getting an understanding of what recuperation is. Maybe I'll bring up the second thought video for those that are better at learning that way. The reason I like to always give visuals because I'm a better learner at visual. So I do have some articles that cover this, and these articles from Vox I found actually covers this pretty well. How this, when sort of the establishment, the ruling class decided we need to target that word for Operation Recuperation. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. Now Tucker Carlson is one of the popular so-called populist right people in mainstream media and corporate media, I should say, that is using this word in this way. We all know he is a reactionary, so that's a given. But those that believe he is a right populist, I don't believe there's such a thing, but those that believe he's a right populist, let's just say that, are going to take that, and these are workers, are going to take the understanding of wokeness from Tucker and his branch, those that follow him. But first, before we do that, of course, we have to do a chat check. There was already comments before the stream started, so we're gonna dive into some of the comments and also talk about our Substack. So if you're watching this on replay, that is not live, or you're catching this late, like I'm about to end this stream, and you're catching this late, and you wish you would have known earlier, just join our Substack and you can get notifications of when we're going to do streams. One was sent out earlier today for the JB stream, and I think Nick joined him. And then one was sent out. Did I send out one for this? I believe one was sent out for this stream. So if you want to get those notifications directly to your email, you can watch the video directly in your email. Join our Substack. This was the last count yesterday. Let's see where we are now. We like to give you an update. Our target is 30,000. So when Nick and I ended yesterday, that's what we were. Now, let's see where we are now. I'll put that up on the screen. So it looks like we gained about 100 new subscribers in 24 hours. So great. Welcome to all of you. If you're new, please subscribe. We are a proletariat network, or if you want to say working class network. We advocate for the working class. So if that's something you're here for, this is not red or blue. So if you're a Republican here, welcome. We welcome you. We're going to critique the Republicans in the same way we're going to critique the Democrats. They're one and the same to us. So let's continue. Or actually, one more thing, like the stream. Let's see. Let me refresh this. Like the stream, and then I'll go to the comments here to see what you're already saying about this topic. And then I do also have a video where Joe Rogan, the video is titled where he's talking about it. And it talks about an origin, but I'll also have an origin from where it's from too. Now, we're at 84 likes and about 140 viewers. Could we push that to maybe 125? That'll bring in a lot of people to talk about this, because I believe this is going to be a lot of people on a good discussion, because people in the red camp, in the blue camp, or on the left or on the right, or just human beings have varying views on this. And it may be because they've never knew what the original meaning of the word was. So that's what we want to do. So like this stream, let's try to get to 125. Like this stream, let's try to get to 125 likes. And now let's go to comments. I want to start with Joe Rogan's video. That's where I'm going to start this discussion. So where was it? Oh, comments. Here we go. So let's go all the way to the top and see who was here before we even started here. This is Cake Batter. Love the name. I shake my head every time I hear some young white child calling something sus. I'm assuming that's suspect. Jennifer Wright. I'm sorry, you're right. Woke now means something totally different. Eric says, I'm white, but a ratchet. I hate all internet trendy slang. Yeah, we love Nick. Yeah, Rodrigo loves seeing Nick and CJ. Nick, I think he's doing something in real life with his family, his brothers, his people out there in the community. So he was on earlier. So there you got to see JB. I'm sorry, and Nick and JB. But I think Nick and I will be back on tomorrow. So Nick is taking the rest of the day off. Run for president. The rest of the crew will be his cabinet. Absolutely. Let's see. Let's get in on RBN. All right, so let's get a couple more, and then we will dive into this discussion here. I'll go down a little bit. Let's see who's here. See a lot of regulars. Thank you for the super sticker. I'm going to start that just in case for later. Absolutely. Give a thumbs up. All right. So I think that's enough there. So we'll get started. We're at 180 viewers. If we push to 125 likes or more, I'm sure that'll push over to 200 viewers, and we'll get a lot of people in this in the comment section. So, but let's I said I want to start with the Joe Rogan video. So let's start with the Joe Rogan video. Oops. Oh, for some reason I thought I was watching that Tulsi video on where is it? On YouTube. But I wasn't. All right, so let me get the link to the video. So where is it? Okay, so here is why I'll post it. I don't have to change screens. And it's titled, let me wait for it to come up here. I can give you the title. I believe it's The Origins of Woke, maybe. Let's see what it is specifically. Because if you want to look this video up, you can go ahead. Oh, that was it. So Joe Rogan, The Origins of Woke. And it's not really a serious conversation. I'm just going to tell you up front. It's not a real serious conversation about the term. But let's see. Let's listen to what Joe is saying about this topic. Oops. It'd be nice if I put the volume on. Let's listen.
Dress the way you want to dress. It's not their problem. It's the guy's problem. Let's correct the guys rather than us.
Right.
I love that. But there's a lot of guys that haven't been corrected yet who are going to hassle you and follow you in the parking lot.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Those guys aren't woke. Once everyone's all woke it'll be great.
Woke's a dangerous word to use. I feel like people are going to mock it in the future.
Woke?
Yeah. I feel like using woke now, like unironically, is super slippery. I see a trap coming.
You do?
So when I first heard that, I was like, wow, Joe predicted that the word woke was going to be co-opted. I'm trying to look and see where is the date of it. Oh, this is more than 3 years ago. So yeah, I was trying to look for the exact date. I don't know why when I'm on here, I always find it hard to find shit like dates, like comments, because I'm just right here is where you find comments. Oh, I'm tripping. There we go. But anyway, yeah, this is like 3 years old. So this is 2019 roughly. So let's continue. I guess if I back out, I can get the exact date, but that's not important. Let's listen.
The jiu-jitsu practitioner in me is like, I don't like this move. This is I know where this leads. I'm like, this is a
totally
trap.
Right.
This is how I feel.
Yeah.
I see that woke thing. I'm like, what are you woke? What the fuck does that even mean? You woke up? You woke up? What are you, 12?
Well, it comes from my 16-year-old, so yeah.
Yeah, these kids today.
But what does woke mean? It means your brain is open. You're open to stuff.
The problem is there's no real quantification. There's no test you take to show that if
this is the issue that white culture has when they when something popular or something that comes across to them out of the black community, this is the reaction. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is the reaction because it's a inability to understand something. I guess because you didn't grow up with the word and the understanding. Like, no one in the black community has to read a definition in the dictionary to know what woke is. So when something like this term and the understanding of the original term or the original use of the term woke, it's being, just think you're black people supposedly free, giving your freedom, you're living under Jim Crow. You're understanding being woke to the system. And we're going to read about how this term goes back to where even Marcus Garvey was saying to black people to wake up. So but it's never just like a lot of things that come in African culture. A lot of it is written down. You talk like in ancient Egypt, but then there's a lot of it that's not. But there's a clear understanding with us. But when that black African culture meets white culture, it's just a lack of understanding. You can hear it in his voice, a silliness, not a taking serious, because it's not written in terms for people educated in white supremacy to understand. So it's written in a different dialect. CJ, we're in Compton. Are you? I was at Elliot. I didn't pick up at my plug spot. So where I pick up my weed shop, both of them all three are in Compton. Was I in there yesterday? Brenda, yes, I was. Was I in there yesterday? Did I pick up in Compton? I did pick up in Compton yesterday. Yes, I was. I don't know if no, I wasn't by that. Okay, I wasn't by the 103. I don't remember El Pollo Loco. But anyway, let's get back to the discussion, Brenda. Thank you. But I actually was. I was in picking up yesterday, picking up some good stuff. I got some Ghost OG and some Alien OG. But anyway, back to what we're talking about here. I saw that comment and I just thought, wow, was I in Compton? Yes, I was. So where was I? I forget where I was, but that doesn't matter. We can continue. That was just a funny comment, but we can continue what Joe is. Oh, this is what I was saying. When something is not originated out of white culture in America, there's this sort of reaction to it. It's it's sort of in the. You know what? I'm not even gonna bring that in because that'll bring in a whole different discussion. So let me rewind it, and you can hear sort of the. The reaction to it. The reaction, but listen, it's like comes from his gut. It's like a lack of because it's a lack of understanding. But let's listen.
It means your brain is open. You're open to stuff.
The problem is there's no real quantification. There's no test you.
That's the thing. Let it play, but goodness, let it play.
Take to show that if you're woke,
Right.
right? Like if you want to be a mathematician, you have to fucking show that you know how to do math.
Yeah.
The professors, they check your work, like you get through, like, yes, congratulations, Tom Papa.
You see, this is why it's silly to them. You see the reaction? When in the Black community, this question of how to quantify it never exists. It never exists. Or I should say existed. Trying to, hey, how do we quantify who's woke and who's not? Like, so his reaction is just him encountering, because he's, grew up in this system where there's this understanding of just terms. It's just a complete lack of ability to, or capacity to even understand how that is even possible. When this is like, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's only that it is co-opted now. And we're going to get into that. But let's listen to a little more Joe, and we're going to get into the article too right after this clip here.
Yeah.
You are a mathematician. You have a PhD in mathematics.
It says so right here on the paper.
And you're like, God damn it, I'm going to put that shit on my wall so you understand. I know how this stuff works.
Yeah.
But wokeness, anybody can claim to be a master of wokeness. It's like kung fu without fighting. It's very different.
So actually, now I got an epiphany, or maybe it wasn't an epiphany, a better understanding. Then Joe is actually right. So what he's pointing out, that he's illustrating his lack of understanding of the word, but he's also pointing out through the very fact that he doesn't understand it, that fact will leave open the ability for this word to be co-opted. And that's what he's pointing out, which has happened. It has been co-opted. So, let me go ahead and give you the actual origin of the, and like I said, this article surprised me that it was actually written on Vox. Written by Ajay Ramano, which he's decent. So I guess I can understand, because I have read other items that he has written. So let's read this article. And it kind of covers, and we're going to come back to the Joe video, because they literally kind of veer off into other stuff. And they don't, they show some image or picture or some sort of flyer or leaflet from the 1920s that shows the word woke in it. And that's sort of what they're talking about, but it's still not a serious conversation about it. But let's interject some seriousness about what the word sort of stems from. So this article on Vox, let me blow this up a little bit here. Oh, wow. Okay, so here we go. All right, so I'm going to read this article here. All right. I don't want to do that in the mic. So anyway, so let's read this article, and I'll bring myself down smaller so that the article appears larger. So let's do that. All right, so let's read. Where is it? Right here. Before 2014, the call to stay woke was, now this article, I should tell you when this article was written 2 years ago, literally. So we're in October. This was written October 2020. So So this is right. I think, this is right when the pandemic was several months, 6 months into the pandemic. Okay, so just think that far back. So before 2014, the call to stay woke was, for many, unheard of. The idea behind it was common within the Black community at this point. The notion that staying woke and alert to the deception of other people was a basic survival skill. And this is, let me pause there. And I reference this sort of, or I anecdotally reference this in the story that I told earlier, in that, just think, newly freed slaves, you are still working in the system of Jim Crow, clearly racist. The notion that staying woke and alert to the deceptions of other people was a basic survival skill. So, and that is the way that Marcus Garvey, in another article I'm going to read, is referring to the term wake up. So, but let's continue. But in 2014, now this article is pinpointing, this is the time when the term was targeted to be recuperated. And I can explain that to you later if you don't know what that means, but we can use the word co-op for now. So, but in 2014, following the police killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, stay woke suddenly became the cautionary watchword of Black Lives Matter activists on the street, used in a chilling and specific context, keeping watch for police brutality and unjust police tactics. And I'll stop there. So, now, understand that Black Lives Matter has been, everybody already knows, has been co-opted. Everybody knows all the things that happened with the organization and all the crazy shit that happened with that. But the activists on the street were using this word with Black Lives Matter. So with the attack of Black Lives Matter, everything connected to it was attacked or was targeted. So let's continue with the article. In the 6 years since Brown's death, woke has evolved into a single word summation of the leftist political ideology centered around social justice politics and critical race theory. This framing of woke is bipartisan. This is key. This framing of woke is bipartisan, and because bipartisans are reactionary. These bipartisans, I should say, that they're talking about are reactionary. They want the status quo. So let's continue with the article. It's used as a shorthand for political progressiveness by the left and as denigration, and as a denigration of left culture by the right. On the left, to be woke, this is the meaning that white left has given it. I need to make sure that's understood. That this is about that, like what he's saying, what this author is saying here. So it's still being a good word, but it now being given a specific meaning by white leftists. This is their meaning. So on the left, to be woke means to identify as a staunch social justice advocate who's abreast of contemporary political concerns, or to be perceived that way, whether or not you ever claim to be woke yourself. So whether you call yourself woke or not, this is what the understanding of woke has been. And this is how that understanding of woke has been given to people on the left, but particular elected people on the left. And how Democrats come into this is, Nick kind of alluded to this in another stream. It falls, the word using, for example, he used woke, calling RBN woke imperialists fall flat. Because, I mean, there's several reasons. So let me not use RBN, even though Nick did, but let me use a different analogy. Or actually, I don't need to use an analogy. On the left, to be woke means to identify as a staunch social justice advocate, because this is not something ever considered as what the meaning was for Black people. So, like I said, like even with white leftists using this as a positive word, these definitions are not from the Black community. So this is not the original use or definition of the word. It was simply saying woke to the system that we're living in, which is oppression. Staying awake to what's happening. So that this definition has been added, but let's go with what they're saying. So at times the defensiveness surrounding wokeness invites ironic blowback. Consider the 2020 Hulu comedy series Woke, which attempted to deconstruct the identity politics behind ideals like wokeness, only to garner criticism for having an outdated and too centrist political viewpoint, that is, for not being woke enough. And here is how multiple sort of camps contributed to the co-opting of this word. You have milquetoast leftists who co-opt sort of activist language, but water it down because they're not willing to do the things or can really relate to the original use of the word. So they just kind of add, just like what I'm saying, they add this definition to it. They just kind of add these things, which waters down the word, which waters down the meaning. So it's like you're trying to be positive. I guess these leftists are trying to do something good, I guess. I mean, I guess that's what they're trying to do. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt that it's not on purpose, but co-opting a word and not willing to or not even being able to relate to the word to be able to explain it appropriately, but yet so you have to sort of add these meanings to it, sort of dilutes the word, which gives the opposite side the ability to co-opt it. So when the squad is like, oh, we're for the climate, right? We're for climate justice, we're for this, but then they vote for a bill. I think it was the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, a bill that gives land to fossil fuel. You see how they're supposed to be the ones that's woke to the system, woke to fossil fuel, woke to this damaging it, but they're doing something opposite that allows the other side to co-opt it, and which is what has done. But let's continue. Let's continue with the article. So on the right, woke, like its cousin, and this is a great point here, its cousin cancel, bespeaks political correctness gone awry. So, and that's how, and that's, let me continue the article and then I'll give more commentary. And the term itself is usually used sarcastically. At the Republican convention in August, right-wing Matt Gaetz scolded woketopians, grouping them together with socialists and Biden supporters as though the definition of woketopia was self-evident. I'm going to stop there with this article. I do have another one in another video to kind of cover. And it is the majority report, because they cover, they analyze the word like has wokeness on the left gone too far, or something to that effect. Let's go there now. And let's listen to their let's listen if they let's just listen. I don't want to preface the video, because I feel like if I do, it'll give more of what I think about it before we play the video. So let's play the video. And it's okay. Here he goes right here. Now, let's listen to this, and I want to get their guest name and tell you who he is. Let me see if they have it listed down here. Maybe his name is Perry. I don't know. It doesn't really list it. So anyway, let's
the media class and the wealth.
So the name of this video, if you want to look it up, is Wokeness Killing Democrats? And let's listen to what they discuss here.
The media class and the wealth class of the country are aligned with the centrists. So arguments that are like defund is a bad idea can sort of run through the rest of the media really quickly, in part because the media, the editorial boards, the biggest columnists, Morning Joe, all those people are in position to sort of reinforce those arguments. Like defund is bad seem natural to those people. Wokeness is killing the Democrats seem natural to people because they don't like their woke employees. Like this is, so in some ways the left's problem is that the center narratives are going to be repeated in the media and repeated by the big donors and repeated by the Michael Bloombergs. And I think that's the problem, is that Eric Adams against Maya Wiley is kind of not a fair fight, because Maya Wiley's arguments can be cast as crazy and left, and Eric Adams in the press, like most voters are not particularly ideological and don't know what's going on. So whoever becomes the sort of regular Democratic candidate who the sort of Democratic machine supports will get voters on both the progressive and the centrist side. But if the message is the regular Democrats are sort of closer to Hakeem Jeffries or closer to Josh, and AOC is kind of not a regular Democrat, that's a disadvantage for AOC.
I don't want to harp on this point about the consultants, because I think your point is taken. They need to be able to work. They need to be mercenary on some level if they want to make their money. But there is an argument that the nature of a progressive candidacy ends up putting less money into the pocket of a consultant.
I think that's correct.
Because of the nature of the way that they maybe might be more grassroots oriented, less TV buys. I mean, it's just the way that these things are structured.
Also, and, I should say, sorry, just to add, like there's a blacklisting element of it too that went down, where there's an understanding. Say, if you work with somebody who's primarying a sitting Democrat, you're less likely to get work with the rest of these Democratic candidates going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's that challenge, but I'm talking like almost like structurally, all things else being equal, you're going to make more money off of somebody who is, raising corporate money, A, and B, looking to an air campaign versus a ground campaign when it comes to politics. And I wonder if, in addition to that, there was a piece by Will Bunch, I'm sure you're aware of, in the Inquirer. At least, I don't know if you read this piece, but and he was basically imagining an ad that could be deployed by congressional candidates where they would invoke MLK and they would invoke Rosa Parks and say Republicans are trying to keep this out, like engage in that culture war that Republicans have successfully sort of dragged our politics back into after a couple of like sort of blanks. Dr. Seuss didn't stick, but we found something. and engaging in that and rolling it in with Trump and Putin and this and that. Is there like, why don't we see that? I mean, where is, it seems to me there's a generational divide here too.
Sure.
Which is like you mentioned a Spanberger. There are times where Spanberger and AOC are actually aligned. It seems to me against a Pelosi, even though they're.
So I played all of that because you might be, oh, this is long. I wanted you to hear how at no point are they really discussing what wokeness is. They're just they're taking it in and just saying, basically, is this the Democrats going? Are they going too far left? Is that killing their chances? So they only look through this through the lens of like strategy, and it's no pushback. So we on the left, we have to be intellectually consistent and honest in these conversations. So if you're not gonna push back, if you're not gonna even say like, we have, being woke is good, and we have to push back on this co-opting of the word and not just run with it, because this is the reason why defund the police is such a good phrase. It's because it's such an inability to co-opt it. This is why they keep trying to tell us, let's just leave it alone. It's such an inability to recoup when it says it in the word. But a word like woke, Joe Rogan spoke it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever that was, 3 years ago. It was a slippery slope. It was easy to see that this word could be co-opted. So once the broader popular left culture, white left culture, took this word and began to use it, and I guess this article was saying the Black Lives Matter protests back with Ferguson, that's when the attack began, because this word has been being used for literally decades. This word has been used in the Black community all this time. And I know Black people all the time, we look and like, what? Like the way it's being used, like that is such a bizarre use of the term. But yeah, let's go now to this. I want to go back to Joe Rogan's video and let him get to the point where he's talking about the origin, because I don't want to bring up the receipt I have that talks about this same image that they're going to bring up. I'm sorry, I got my window open so you see a little sunlight shining on me. But they have this where is it? Joe Rogan right here. The little it's like newspaper clipping or something like that they use here. It's the same one I'm going to be talking about in the article we're going to address. So let's let them kind of talk about it first before we get to that. Where was I? I think I was here.
Like
Stop.
Tom Papa had a woke academy,
Right.
and you took these people through.
It would just be, do you like bread or not like bread?
Yeah, claiming wokeness. Super slippery. What's this, Jamie?
1962 New York Times Magazine article about being woke.
Whoa,
Wow.
this is crazy.
If you're
oh my
woke,
God.
you dig it. Look, if you're woke, you dig it.
Oh,
Now understand, there was no Black people, there was no Black writers at that time writing for the New York Times. So understand, even this article that you're claiming is the original, where it originates, is written by white people and their understanding of this term from Black communities. So understand that. So let's listen further to Joe Rogan.
oh my God.
That's the perfect definition right there.
Insane.
If you're woke, you dig it.
That is insane.
That was my fox, man. And you were copying my taste and grit.
Wow.
Don't jump salty on me.
Whoa, look how they talked back then. They were trying to talk people into talking in a way that made them seem more interesting. I'm going to say it the way I would say it if I lived back then. Hey, make it bigger so I can see it.
You be the guy on the left.
Jamie,
read it, but
no. Scroll so we could read what they were
His
saying.
comments.
Yeah.
What he's saying up top. Yeah.
Okay.
That was
my fox, man.
And you were
And
copying my taste and grit.
Grit.
So how would you say that now?
That was my fox, man.
maybe it's girl.
And you were copying my taste and grit. Of course it's girl.
That's
Jamie.
my girl. And
You
you
gotta say it.
That's what he's saying.
No one says fox anymore.
No, that's what they said. Oh, what words would you use today?
yeah.
Hey,
He would
dude,
say,
the fuck are you doing with my girlfriend, dickhead?
and he said, "Don't jump salty on me." I would say, "Hey, we're cool.
No,
No
it
worries.
would
No
be like,
worries.
Stop being such a bitch.
It's all good. It's all good."
Yeah, and then it'd be like, what? Someone's a bitch? And then next thing you know, people would be hitting each other. That's the darkness in all men. Who are these two gentlemen to the
So I
right
was
and
just
the
thinking,
left?
It says Noah Webster. I think that might be like Webster's dictionary guy.
And who's the other guy? Peter
I
what?
can't tell.
Peter.
Peter in the
It looks a
dictionary
little
that
squirrely.
Can't tell.
Peter Legacy.
The letters are all blurred, right?
I love that.
But I love that. If you're woke, you'll dig it.
Yeah, if you're woke, you dig it. That sums it up, man. If you're woke, you dig it. After
How'd you find this, Jamie? Go back to
I
that.
typed in it's like know your meme.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So the meme of the word woke.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stay woke.
Look at that little image though. Scroll back up so we see it again. That's so strange. Like imagine if that was contemporary.
yeah.
Like if that was your word. Like imagine if hipsters all of a sudden started wearing tails to their jackets.
So this is where it kind of goes off, where there's not even really talking about woke, but this article that they're zooming in on, we're gonna actually put we're gonna talk about. So we're gonna go to the website. I'm sure you've heard of them, Legal Defense Fund, but there's an article under the power of language. Let me share that. Which actually uses that same picture, and it's down here. So we're gonna get to it in just a second. Same picture here. But the title of this, if you want to look it up, maybe I'll put it in the description. How woke went from black to bad. This one's written by Ishina Robinson. Oh no, the girl I know is Marshina Robinson. Okay, I was gonna say I know this person. I went to school with somebody in. Okay, so let's read. Quote: "We must fight the woke in our schools. We must fight the woke in our business. We must fight the woke in our government agency." Florida Governor Ron DeSantis recently declared from the stage at a campaign event, quote again, "We never, ever surrender to woke ideology. And I'll tell you this, the state of Florida is where woke goes to die." Now, I'm going to pause there, end quote. Now read what he's saying, but using the correct use of the word woke. So, for example, the state of Florida is where woke. The state of Florida. Now let's insert the definition, the original definition. The state of Florida is where people who are awake to the corrupt system go to die. You see what's happening with the recuperation of the word? So, but this is what recuperation does, and we're going to get to I guess I will play the second thought video that kind of breaks down the definition of recuperation. So we'll play that also. But let's continue to read. His boast about Florida isn't an empty threat. His powerful pulpit at the state governors, as the state governor, DeSantis engineered and recently signed into law the Stop Woke Act, a title that precisely captures what the bill's architect aimed to do. stop people in Florida from speaking out in ways that challenge racism and other kinds of discrimination. Now, it goes into the measure, but that's not what I wanted to discuss. And we're going to get down here to the origins of the word. Because they're talking about the Stop Woke Act and all of that, and that's just not what we're talking about today. So let's go down here when they start to talk about where it comes from. So ask yourself, what exactly is the woke? Where did woke come from, and how did it become apparently worthy of gag orders instituted by politicians and administered with the might of the government? When did it transform from its roots in Black American vernacular to a supposedly all-encompassing, terrifying force emblazoned across increasingly fear-mongering headlines in the United States and even now in parts of Europe? Put simpler, how did woke go from meaning black to bad? And now this talks about the black lineage of woke, which we're going to discuss here. So actually, okay. I'm sorry. I just remember somebody was supposed to reply to me by a certain time. Whether something. So I got the reply. All right. So let's continue here. Where is that? Sorry, I have a lot of windows open again. All right. The black lineage of woke. Quote, to be woke is to be black, is how OK Player Senior News, I'm thinking that's how you say it, and cultural reporter Elijah Watson defined the Black American colloquialism now broadly used diversively when he embarked on a journey in 2017 to plot its origin. Ironically, his research first turned up in 1962 New York Times essay, "If You're Woke, You Dig It." And this is the same article that essay now that they're referring to in New York Times that Joe Rogan was referring to. And remember what I told you. The person who wrote that wasn't from a black person. So you're taking quite likely specifically, I'm not going to even say that. Let's not give that label. Let's not give that blanket label. So let's not give that blanket label. But let's continue with the article. So here it goes. So if you're woke, you dig it. By the then Harlem-based writer William Melvin Kelly. Now that's the person who wrote it, who was highlighting the phenomenon of Black American slang being appropriated by white people who often missed or altogether distorted the word's original meaning until the idioms were taken over, inevitably transformed, and ultimately abandoned by their original Black creators. And this has happened with many things. So if you didn't understand what he said, because I'm going to read that last part again, because it's very, very important. So Joe Rogan and his guest, it wasn't Joe Rogan, but his guest, in answering the question of woke and where is its origin, he just Googled something and figured it came up in this, on this, it came up on my white internet. So this must be the evidence that I need. Let me actually close. Actually, when I get to the video, I'll close this light. I can't stand this in my face. So I'm going to jump up and close this. So 1 second here. All right, so that's better. It's getting to where, so right now it's 3:30 here, so the sun is like right there, right directly coming through my side bedroom window. So, but sorry about that. So let's get back to what I was saying here. So William Melvin Kelly is a writer, but note to what they're saying here. So this writer, William Melvin Kelly was highlighting, okay, the phenomenon of Black American slang. So woke slang. And then white people taking it. I mean, how many things? I mean, from so many things, from bling bling, and from yo, from so many things. It starts in the Black community, and then it becomes part of white vernacular too. And things. I mean, people, stuff. I mean, like for example, this is not a Black word, but the term "dude" in the 50s and 60s and 70s, that was a term that young Black men used, that now you would not even know that if you look at who uses the word dude now. And that's, again, that's not to say we created the word dude. I'm just saying in the use of it. And this is an example that they're giving here in this article. Not an example, but that's what they're talking about. They're speaking to how this writer of this article that Joe Rogan or his guest referred to, the person was examining how white people were now using this language, and how now the article wasn't pointing this out, but this item that I'm reading here is pointing out how it was often missed or altogether distorted, like the understanding on purpose, or maybe it was unintentional. Now let's continue. Kelly, now this is the writer, was prophetic. Watson was prophetic. Watson tells LDF in a recent conversation, we are 6 decades and 7 culture lifetimes past when Kelly's essay was published. And as we discuss what's been done to woke in the 21st century, it's hard to disagree. The language seems to be modified. This is a quote. Seems to be modified in 2 ways, Kelly wrote in the 60s. The first is to give a word already used its opposite meaning. At one time, the connotation of jive were all good. Now they're all bad, or at least questionable. And so they give another example of how I gave. Like, it's not that we create the word, it's not that the word is created. It's just the use, and then the opposite use is replaced. Opposite meaning, I should say, is replaced, which is just ridiculous. Now let's go to this part here. Michael Harriot, columnist at The Griot and author of upcoming book Black as Fuck History, The Unwashed Story of America, explains that this kind of insidious takeover and flipping of Black vernacular to anti-Black pejoratives has numerous parallels in American past and runs all the way to present day. Quote, when you look at the long arc of history and America's reaction to the request for Black liberation, every time Black people try to use a phrase or coin a phrase that symbolizes our desire for liberation, it will eventually become a cuss word to white people, Harriet says in an interview, and that is spot on. And that is what has happened to the use of the word woke. But let me continue with the article, and then we'll go to the video of recuperation. Where was I? I'm going to read this quote again because it's very, to me, powerful quote. Quote, when you look at the long arc of history and America's reaction to the request, so America's reaction to Black people saying we want to be free, every time Black people try to use a phrase or coin a phrase that symbolizes our desire for liberation, it would eventually become a cuss word to white people, Harriet says in an interview. And Black people have never been silent or at a loss for innovation when articulating demands for justice. In fact, the use of the word woke as in-group singular, urging Black people to be aware of the system that harms and otherwise put us at a disadvantage, is documented as far back as the 1920s. And this is the part about Marcus Garvey. The Jamaican philosopher Marcus Garvey exhorted members of the Black diaspora in America, Jamaica, and elsewhere to join the cause of Pan-Africanism, called on them to wake up, unquote, wake up, end quote. By 1938, the iconic American blues musician Led Belly, born Huddie Ledbetter, had recorded the song Scotchborough's Boys. The ballad tells the story of 4 Black youth who were falsely accused of raping a white woman in Scottsboro, Alabama, and subsequently convicted by an all-white jury and sentenced to death, though they were thankfully freed after several appeals and trials. In the song, Leadbelly says of Alabama, I advise, this is a quote, or in the song, I advise everybody to be a little careful when they go down there. Stay woke. Keep your eyes open, end quote. The use of the word woke continued to spread throughout all sectors of Black Americans' lives. In 1940, after finding out they were being paid less than their white counterparts, the leaders of a Black mine workers union in West Virginia that launched a strike against discriminatory pay reportedly said, according to Harriet's research, quote, we were asleep, but we will stay woke from now on, end quote. The word in this Black specific sense would continue to show up across the decade, including in Barry Beckham's 1972 play, Garvey's Lives, where one character says, quote, I have been sleeping all my life, and now that Mr. Garvey done woke me up, I'm going to stay woke, and I'm going to help him wake up other Black folks, end quote. So, having a better understanding of where this word comes from and how it was used by the people who originally used this way. It is part of our Black radical tradition. So those that may push back on like why are this is part of Black radical tradition, and RBN is here to reawaken the Black radical tradition. So we're reclaiming this word. RBN is absolutely woke in the Black radical tradition. So we must not allow our oppressors to take our vernacular, twist it, and then just, on to the next word that they twist and take. In the same way of defund the police, we push back. We're pushing back on this. So let's continue. Woke almost certainly also showed up in the everyday conversations of Black people from the South, Midwest, and the East Coast, including in Harlem. The New York City neighborhood has historically been a Black Mecca and is where Kelly first heard the word woke being used in the context of the Black Power movement, according to what Watson was told by the writer's surviving family. And there's this interview you can listen if you go to this website. I guess I will have to put this in there because this is some great information. And RBN is no long is what is the phrase Nick uses? We're saying no more to the intellectually laziness. No more to that on the left. That's been part of the left for a while. It's no more of that. No more of being intellectually lazy. So let's read a little more. The world discovers woke. It's perhaps this very context, Black people's awareness of their history and their power to resist injustice, that made woke so ripe for the pernicious mutation it has now undergone. Indeed, the forced transformation of the colloquialism echoes how countless other Black ideas, this is the point that I was just speaking, and intellectual contributions have been maligned. When does it end? In other words, when does it end? Quote, when people during the civil rights movement began saying Black power, all of a sudden it became a term that people equated with communism and anti-white sentiment. And then it eventually gave birth to white power. Harriet tells LDF, quote, the 1916 Project, which centers the ramification of slavery and the contributions of Black people in American history, has become an insult. Black Lives Matter became an anti-white sentiment that was banned in schools and spawned All Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter. Do you see how this keeps continuing happening? It happens. Black Lives Matter now, everything people say about everything, good and bad. They use it as a joke, and it speaks to what the article spoke to earlier, how phrases and terms and that are born out of Black communities to describe our want or need or aspiration for Black liberation always gets here. And you see it, and this article is pointing out, you see it with Black Lives Matter. You see it now with the word woke. You saw it, and they pointed out, you saw it with the word Black power. That's where there were white races, but they didn't run around saying Black power in the way they say now until Black people started saying Black power. So, but let's continue here. Erykah Badu's 2008 track Master Teacher, featuring spoken word by Georgia and Modro, is widely credited with reintroducing Stay Woke to the modern lexicon. However, Watson believed it was Badu's use of the word on Twitter while advocating for the freedom of Russian feminist protesters that ultimately helped propel woke around the world. And I'm going to stop here and allow, if you want to continue to read this, to do so. It's a great article. It delves into it pretty good. So I do recommend it. Now let's loop around and show you. Actually, I was supposed to show you Tucker Carlson's use of the word. I guess it doesn't matter what order we go. So now, second thought. Let's find their video. They where's it at? Okay, here it goes. How capitalism destroys radical movements. They take the long way of explaining everything. Not everything, but explaining this. So I'm gonna kind of speed it to the point that shoot. I don't know if I can. Let me see here. Okay. All right, so let's now, I think it's somewhere around here. I don't have my notes because my phone is charging. I don't want to get up and get it.
The idea of
So let's begin here. It's probably about 3 to 4 minutes of video total. I mean, we're gonna start and stop, but that's about the total amount of time that he explained it, and he's given an example of recuperation of how Black Lives Matter, which the article also touches upon how this recuperation process. And it's done to these phrases and these terms and ideas to describe Black liberation, because that's to be stifled by the ruling class. So let's listen to Second Thought give this. Now, we're talking about what recuperation is. So maybe I'll bring up the actual definition first. So recuperation. And yeah, we'll start there. So let's start there. So I'm going to share my other screen and we will start here. Where did I go? Right, y'all. Here we go. All right, so right over here, you see this turquoise color. And let me blow it up. This is the political definition. Where am I here? Right here. So let me blow this up here and we can get to it. And it's kind of weird that it's on the other side, but it is what it is. Let's work with what we got. So it talks about or defines. I know you couldn't see that, but another window went in front of me. So recuperation. Let's talk about the actual definition, and then we'll go back to that video here. In the sociological sense, recuperation is the process by which political radical ideas and images are twisted, co-opted, absorbed, diffused, incorporated, annexed, or commodified within media culture. So that's a loose meaning, but it's decent. So now let's go back to the video where Second Thought. So that's for those that more of a person that learns by reading. Now for those that are more visual, let's listen. It's about 3 or 4 minutes, like I said. Let's listen to Second Thought.
Of governing through consent. Let's do a video about that. Because the truth is that symbols like the mural and more generally quote-unquote culture matter a lot in politics. Even though I had a lot of fun being a cheeky little guy and saying the mural didn't achieve anything, I only said that because, well, I wanted you to like me. And because I meant that it didn't help achieve the goals of the BLM movement in any way. In fact, it actively hid the betrayal of the movement's demands entirely. But it still mattered a lot as a cultural symbol, because ultimately, it was an integral part of the liberal co-optation of the Black Lives Matter movement and its watering down to a vague demand for recognition. It allowed Democrats like Bowser to remain as legitimate political figures in the public eye without actually representing the more radical wing of their electorate or carrying out its demands. In that sense, the mural did actually achieve quite a lot. In politics, this kind of co-opting and watering down of radical ideas is sometimes called recuperation. Okay, really it's only called that by this guy, Guy Debord, badass smoker and French philosopher of the mid-20th century. Who is this nerd? Well, he wrote a book, so now here we are. In his book, The Society of the Spectacle, and in the Manifesto for the Situationist International, which he also wrote, Guy launches what academics call an attack, and what everybody else calls a couple paragraphs of words, on what he considers the new era of capitalism. Capitalism 2, Consumerist Boogaloo. Following World War II, Guy became concerned with how his native France adopted consumerist culture, a society in which the solution to all the ills of modern life are channeled through the acquiring of mass-produced commodities. Guy described how, in the search for ever-growing markets, a society in which basic needs...
Okay, so for those that may have just jumped in, you might, where's this? So he does go in a roundabout way to explain recuperation. And because, you know, this author, this person that he's speaking about, it has to be done this way, but just hang on. He will bring it back to recuperation in the topic, but just hang on.
Needs were generally met for most people turned to the consumption of not really necessary stuff. Buying not really necessary stuff became a new fundamental economic need, but also a basic human need. In a consumerist world, market actors and advertisements are no longer trying to convince you to want the hip new FM radio. They are telling you that you need it, in the same way that you need food on the table. In short, ads create new needs. Beyond this incredibly simplistic description of what advertising tries to do, however, Guy explains that it's not an actual belief in the need to own the latest piece of tech that motivates us to buy it. It's a need for the way these commodities make us look. In other words, appearances become essential to consumption, and by extension, to all of social life. It's all about appearances. Everything becomes about the spectacle. You need stuff not because you actually need it to live, nor do you need it because you're tricked into thinking you need it to live, but because you need to keep up appearances. It looks good to have stuff, and the specific stuff you have says something about you that you want others to know. Alright, big deal. So far, we haven't really gone any further than your boomer dad talking about how dumb ripped jeans are. But for Guy, those jeans really do matter, because not only are they, like other consumer products, capable of making us feel really bad, reduced to our appearances, and alienated from ourselves, but the philosophy of appearances that this image-based consumption cultivates ends up becoming a huge part of our society, and therefore of our politics. For Guy, then, politics become dominated by how appearances are manipulated without substance ever really needing to support them. Today, the classic example of this is Donald Trump and how he convinced some 60 million people that a billionaire real estate mogul was somehow not part of the elite. He played on his appearance as an outsider to hide the reality of another political elite who would spend his time in office growing the power of his wealthy buddies with things like tax cuts for the rich. But even if he's the most egregious example of what Guy calls the spectacle in politics, the same framework of analysis applies to Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, who both challenged Trump mainly by cultivating their own image, that of responsible, level-headed politicians, instead of any meaningful contradiction to his policies, many of which still haven't been reversed since Biden took office. The same goes for every other politician, even the ones you like, and the same goes for every late-night show host who spent every minute of a 4-year term on how dumb Trump's hair looked, or his daily outrageous tweet, far more often than on the policies he carried through Congress. This is what Guy calls the society of the spectacle, in which appearances take on this disproportionate influence and can come to replace the substance of material reality in many cases. But believe it or not, we haven't even gotten to the
appearances come to replace the substantive reality. Remember that. Appearances come to replace the substantive reality.
good part yet. We haven't talked about revolution, because there's more to politics than politicians trying to get you to vote for them. There's also a bunch of people in power who benefit from the society of the spectacle and use it to make sure their power doesn't get wrestled away from them. When the dominant class is confronted with radical, subversive, or revolutionary opposition, movements like Black Lives Matter, for example.
Okay, so now he's looping it back to what we're talking about. So like I said, he does loop it back, and let's continue.
Using the power of appearances comes in really, really handy. That is recuperation. The ability for members of the dominant class to twist and appropriate revolutionary appearances for their own benefit.
Now, so ask yourself, the ability to twist and co-opt things for their own benefit. Now, what does Nick always say? Anytime you're trying to figure out a way of analyzing things, ask yourself this question: who does this benefit? Who does it benefit for the word woke and its original meaning to be co-opted? Who does that benefit? The ruling class, right? So let's continue with the video, and I'll have more to say on the next stop.
Absorbing revolutionary sentiments into their fold and ensuring their survival as the dominant class doesn't get challenged because they've neutered the radical content that those images used to communicate. In Guy's
So they've neutered the word woke and what they used to communicate by flipping it, by co-opting it, by this recuperation process. So as we on this network push revolutionary discipline, we have to remain disciplined. If you think this is the first time this is going to happen in a process of a movement, this is not the first time that they're going to co-opt any sort of language. I mean, you see it already. So do we just keep changing words, or do we, you know what I mean? Are we allowing them to set the narrative and we just keep changing? But let's continue. I mean, that's a question. I'm not saying to give advice. I'm saying it as a question that the left needs to answer.
His own words, the ruling ideology sees to it that subversive discoveries are trivialized and sterilized, after which they can be safely spectacularized.
You tell me this is not what's happening with the word woke. And I'm going to read this aloud. This is from Guy Debord, from that book that he's been referring to. Quote, the ruling ideology sees to it that subversive discoveries are trivialized. Isn't that what's happening to woke? Isn't woke the word being trivialized and sterilized, after which they can be safely spectacularized? Isn't the word woke and anti-wokeness, and everybody's discussing it, isn't it being spectacularized now? Like the final step of the recuperation process. So I'm gonna allow this to replay. So I'll back it up 25 seconds and let this last part replay so you can hear this part again.
Revolutionary appearances for their own benefit, absorbing revolutionary sentiments into their fold and ensuring their survival as the dominant class doesn't get challenged because they've neutered the radical content that those images used to communicate. In Guy's own words, the ruling ideology sees to it that subversive discoveries are trivialized and sterilized, after which they can be safely spectacularized. In the case of DC Mayor Muriel Bowser, her appropriation of the Black Lives Matter or defund the police slogans does exactly this and helps her achieve two things. One, it sterilizes the message. Defund the police is no longer about actually defunding the police, silly. It's about reform, more training, and more money. Black Lives Matter is no longer about actually ensuring the value of Black lives is respected by distributing wealth more equally, abolishing the violent carceral state and the militarized police, or ensuring that the institutions that guarantee a decent life are properly funded everywhere. Black Lives Matter is just about saying that Black Lives Matter, and that's it. It's literally just about the spectacle. But that's not all. The second thing this appropriation does is it provides a safeguard to her power and the power she defends, that of a white supremacist nation that can only function with a heavily racialized
district. Pause it here, because there are leftists that use it this way, and those leftists have to ask themselves, use it in this derogatory way. Ask yourself, who does that help? who are you helping by using the term woke in a derogatory way? That's a serious question, because there's people who are friends of the network that have used it in this way, and that's the question I'm asking. Who does the use of the word, how does that use of the word, that use that you use, the derogatory use, who does that help? The working class or the ruling class? Whose narrative does that feed into? So we have to begin to have better revolutionary discipline around things like this. And RBN is here to say this, to lead by example. All right, so I think that's going to be it. I mean, I can listen to this video over and over because I like this video, but I'm not going to have,
distribution of property.
Yeah, I think that's enough to show you there. So that's recuperation. And since I have them on the screen, on the thumbnail, let's go to Tucker Carlson and woke, because he talks about it all the time. So this fake agent of a populist agent named Tucker Carlson, the right populist, he talks about and uses this word. So if you type in Tucker and woke, you'll find a bunch of clips where he's talking about it. But I want to filter it and kind of go to something real old. Oh, I can't do it backwards. I want to see one of his videos, but an old video. So let's do it this way, where he's talking about woke, because I don't want it to be altered by any of the recent events that has happened. Maybe it's a better way for me to filter this. Hang on a second, everybody. About legal view count, and then I could do it better that way. Okay, so, oh God, Kanye West. So I have no idea what's going on, Kanye West. Believe it or not, I have managed to stay clear of what of it. I have managed to stay clear. So did you know there's also I actually did a stream on the CIA being woke. They actually have a woke video. Jesus. Let's play this. Let's play this. I'm laughing at the title. It's Trump. Being woke means you're a loser. Oh God, this guy's just entertainment. So let's watch this. This is just for fun. The segment is pretty much done, but this is for fun. So let's watch how conservatives and the ruling class is trying their best to misguide people with the word woke, about the word woke. So let's listen.
And now, the meeting of the minds, part 4.
When they see that Antifa is not prosecuted and they kill people in Portland and Seattle and all these other places, they take over a large portion of Seattle.
Yeah.
People die. They walk in and beat the hell out of the store owners, and they take it over. And if I didn't send in, I was getting ready to send in the National Guard and maybe the military. And they heard that, and all of a sudden they left. It's an amazing thing. Same thing in Minnesota. When
mostly peaceful.
Always peaceful. You ever see peaceful? How about the
Summer of Love, they called it.
How about the CNN reporter saying this is a peaceful protest, and then you look behind him, the entire city is burning down. Did you ever see that?
No, it's classic.
This is peaceful, and we appreciate.
It's so almost so real to see the ruling class talk about workers' protests. Like, this is what they think, though. But let's continue.
And rocks are being thrown at the guy. It is so.
And they deny the rising crime that's going on because of the defunding of the police ideology and the demoralization of the cops. And none of the networks are covering it except for Fox.
They don't prosecute murderers, killers. A guy killed an old woman, a grandmother the other day. They don't even talk about it.
Mhm.
They only go after Republicans. It's true. The prosecutors, they only go after Republicans. What people are getting away with in New York, what they're getting away with in Chicago. I mean, look at Chicago, where they say 113 people were shot at and 28 died.
Yeah.
That's worse than Afghanistan was.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. We didn't lose, I told you, a soldier in many, many months. And here they have 28 people died over a weekend.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace what's going
Yeah,
on.
Taliban has finally made Afghanistan as dangerous as Chicago. One problem with you running for president again is that you're going to save CNN. You are aware of that.
That's a problem.
Yes, it is a problem.
I'm very proud of what I've done to them. You know, they're down 81%.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, maybe lately with all of this crazy things that are happening, but maybe not, because they don't like to cover Afghanistan.
Right.
And, you know, they're torn.
Yeah.
Because if they cover it, they'll get higher ratings, but they don't want to cover it because it's bad for the radical left Democrats. And they're doing that to protect some of the most incompetent people in the history of politics in terms of office. They're good at getting there. Once they get there, everything turns sour. I won't use the same word I used in Alabama at the rally, but woke. Everything turns bad.
What, you know, was the woke a response to you? Because you had the politically correct. You come in, you point out how screwed up the politically correct is, and then there's just something worse, more pernicious, which is this woke movement, which is basically saying that America is endemically racist.
I don't know. Even the women's soccer team, the woman with the purple hair, she wasn't a fan of mine. She said negative things and then she lost.
Yes.
Because woke means you're a loser.
Right.
Everybody ultimately loses with woke. And I'll tell you, I'm watching parents in Virginia and parents, they're tired of it. They don't want it. They're finally getting it.
Yeah.
The school boards, they're throwing these maniacs out, and they're really, it's been great to watch.
Yeah, because it infiltrates. It used to be in campuses. Now it's in high schools. Critical race theory being taught in grade schools and stuff. And now parents are finally engaged in showing up, and that's kind of new, don't you think? It's
well,
new.
I ended it in the military.
Yeah,
but as soon as they came in, they put.
So you heard how they discussed woke, but they've basically completed the process of recuperation. More in the pop culture, not in Black community, and not in these struggling activist community. They still use it the right way, but in pop culture, there's more people who use it in pop culture the wrong way than the right way. And it's sad that it's crept into the left, and now the left people use it the wrong way. But what I want to find out, because I've been stuck in this room preparing and doing stuff in this room for hours, is there new news going on? I only had this story prepped. I knew it was going to take a long time. Is there any new news? Can y'all put that in the comment? What's happening? Like, what's the hottest shit that's happening? I guess I can go to Twitter, but I want to learn from all of you. What is the hottest shit that's happening on Twitter? Where am I on here? Yeah, I wasn't gonna need to read that article. So I guess I can go to Twitter and see, but I want to find out what's hot. Anything happened lately with the squad? They've been having just terrible luck the last several weeks. Just somebody, you know, first it was Jamal Bowman that was protesting, AOC, then Ilhan and Ayanna, and then Pramila with the letter. Like, it's just been so many sort of like bad luck, I guess you could say. But let me see, where am I? I'm on. Oh, either one of these pages I'm on. Okay, this page right here I'm on. Okay, so now I understand where I'm at. All right, close some of these windows. Actually, let's go back to that. It looked like Hillary Clinton, and I'm going to go to your tweets actually and see and ask you, because I just asked you what's hot. What's trending or what's not trending, because sometimes the trends on Twitter is bullshit. But what's hot? What's hot on social media? Let's do that. Oops. What's hot? Oops. On typo. What's hot on social media? So what's hot on social media right now. We're going to do the last 20 minutes or so of that. Now, let's go to your comments and see what do we have as what. Oh, Lula won? What? Okay, so that's a definite. We're going to go to that right now. Any other news? That's probably the biggest news. Britain is being accused of the Nord Stream 1 attack. Wow. I guess I should probably. Wow, there's a bunch of things that are happening right now, huh? So let's go to. Let me take this off. Let's go to Twitter. So Lula won. Let's type in Lula and see. So 20. Wow, this was just posted 26 seconds ago. Wow, let's click. This is, I guess, breaking news, at least for me. This is literally, this says 4:06. This was posted and it's 4:13. So let's listen. I'm sure we won't understand. It's probably in a different language. But that's him.
Você que está em casa deve imaginar a dificuldade que é, neste momento, para se captar uma imagem de qualidade em meio a esse clima. Obviamente, o candidato Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva sai para encontrar ali apoiadores, amparado nos números que... Você que está em casa deve imaginar a dificuldade...
Wow, so that's one video. Let's continue down and see. I just typed in Lula and see what else. So here is Nina Turner. So Nina Turner chimed in. So congratulations to Lula on your victory. This is such good news for Brazil and for the global movement for economic and social and racial environmental justice. Wow, that's a mouthful. Viva Lula. So yeah, this is just breaking. She just put this 4:12, and it's 4:14 my time. I'm giving you East Coast time. I'm sorry, West Coast time. Let's go to something else here. This is showing the.
Às 19:57.
It's in another language, but it's showing the numbers here. So I'm gonna pause it on there, so we can see these numbers. So it looks like Lula has he's broke 50%, 59 million, and Bolsonaro is at 57 million. So that's what it looks like. On there. Let's continue. Wow. Oh shoot. I'm not where I was before. I don't know what happened. So let's type in Lula again and go back. I'm sure all the family is tweeting about this. So we just saw that one. Oh, I was gonna retweet hers, but it's all right. Let's go to the next one. Oh, just people celebrating. These are in Spanish. Otherwise, I would stop and read these articles, but they're in Spanish. So this is where we left off. Okay, so breaking. Bolsonaro loses in Brazil runoff election for president. Former President Lula wins by 1.7%. Major victory for democracy over fascism. That's one of the tweets. So let me actually put this up. Lula wins, because I'll have to clip this. Lula wins. For covering this. So Lula wins. Nick, if you're watching and you want to join for this segment, please do, because I know you were watching it earlier. What did I say? Portuguese. Yes. Did I? Oh yeah. The language is Portuguese. Yes. If I said something else, my apologies. I heard that he is not as left as all of us. I have heard that. I haven't heard that he's a neoliberal, but I have heard that. I like that tweet. Okay, I'll go back and like it. Let me see any other comments. Somebody just says, get in there, Nick. I don't know if he's watching. I'm just saying if he was. All right, so let's continue. here, Cold Pink. We congratulate Brazilian President-elect Lula and all the Brazilian people for this outstanding democratic victory. We are certain that a new day is dawning in Brazil for the preservation of the Amazon and for social justice. So, Cold Pink, these aren't, the most left organizations. Lula is not the most left person. We understand that. Lula is an upgrade, and it's not a lesser of two sort of upgrade. He is an upgrade for Bolsonaro for just as what happened in Colombia. The guy who was elected in Colombia at the top of the ticket, like, he's not the Marxist that Francia is, but they're better. So, and it's not like going from Republican to Democrat better, not like that kind of better. But I do take the sentiment that he's not at all a radical leftist at all whatsoever. So these are in Spanish. Let's move by those. I'm sorry, these are in Portuguese. So that's what you were saying earlier. These are in Portuguese, not Spanish. Macron even chimes in French. So Macron here chimes in. Does he give like a English translation on his things? No, does not. So Macron even chimes in here. I'm sure that's somebody famous that I don't know. Nicolas Madrone chimes in and wishes. This is now I know this part is in Spanish. So Nicholas also, let me retweet some of these. Somebody was just saying retweet some of these. So I'll go ahead and actually do that. So I'll go ahead. Okay, so let's continue. So we are going to go to some video footage in just a second. I just wanted to make sure I got a lot of comments, and we got two heads of countries. We got France, we got Venezuela. Who is this? Fernando is somebody. He is somebody official. I don't know, but I'm sure somebody I should know. All right, so there's a lot in Portuguese, Spanish, and a lot of other languages. So let's try video and see what we can bring up here. Let's see. This is video down in Brazil. So let's watch this. Let me retweet it. This is the original video. Let's see if it's any difference in the original video here. If this person may have some other videos. Oh, this person on the ground. This is a person in Brazil. And somebody with a bigger account retweeted theirs. So let's listen. 7 seconds. Let's see what else we have. Here's another video. The crowd cheering. Here's another video here. Let's retweet this one. All right, let's go to another one here. Lula victory not only for Brazil, but for whole global South who's being targeted by U.S. interests. This is Lula as a young Lula. Let's see what this video contains. This is young Lula here, or younger Lula, I should say.
Casado, pai de 3 filhos, Luiz Inácio da Silva, o Lula, nasceu em Garanhuns, estado de Pernambuco.
Okay, so it's not, there's no, I was waiting to see if there was going to be an English translation that came in, but it's not. So I'll just let that play. that's a young Lula there. And let's go to the next video here. So 97% of vote counted. Lula continues to grow his lead up 1.7 million votes. And this is Paulista Avenue, Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo. Okay, let's play this video now. Make it big and play it. So these are actually people on, on the ground. These are people on the ground. Here's more showing this is earlier when the vote count is showing the vote count go up. As you can see, it's showing it there. Okay, so, but I think we gave these are just older videos. What is this? Lula Presidente of the Year. All right. So now let's go to YouTube and see if we can get if there's any corporate news coverage or any other news coverage on Lula winning. So let's go there next. So Lula wins, and it looks like, oops, the last hour. Is there anything? Well, I don't see. Wow, they don't have anything. Wow. Let's broaden this. This is a shame. Nothing. This is it right here. So that tells you that tells you what the United States government and their people think of it. So these are people there who are just can't believe he won, and I guess looks like there were tears of joy. But this is the only video that has been posted with the word Lula wins. I guess maybe I can try to just go to CNN. Maybe they have something on it. Let me do another check. Lula wins. This is a day ago, 19 hours ago, 26 minutes ago. So how about we try this? Yeah. Let's try Lula wins without the filters. And then we'll go view date. All right. So now let's see if I can find anything. So that's the video we just watched. Oh, that's Hassan. Oh, that's Hassan, the Hassan guy reacting, I guess. Then this one, Lula wins. This is coverage. Doesn't look like. Let's see. This is him casting his vote, it looks like. We can play this video. So this is Lula casting his own vote. Yeah, I don't think so. This is just breaking. So there isn't much video that we can find. Like, yeah, like that's all the newest content we can find. So it looks like the newest content we can find, or the newest footage, is only on Twitter that I can find. There's nothing you can find on YouTube right now. So let's listen, or let's watch this one. This is Fiorella Isabel. Let's see what she has posted here, and then I think we might end it on this video. So let's. Where's the play? Yeah. So okay. So there's that. Now let's go back to Lula for one last check, because this is sort of breaking news. So let's discover it live. Oh, there is a trend. Let's click the trend and see. and see what we could come up with here. Look, he's running. This guy, this bus driver is saying he won. You guys see that? They're showing this bus driver hop off and telling people Lula won. So that guy's happy. Any other? So it doesn't look like there's any new evidence. I was gonna say anything new that has posted. So I'm gonna leave it there. If any other new information, we'll include it in an episode tomorrow. I'm sure we're gonna cover this with Nick. So the Nick and CJ show, I'm sure, will return tomorrow. So it's showing Lula dancing there. That's not actually him, but showing Lula dancing. Love these memes. Let's watch this one. All right, I think we're gonna end it there. Thank you, everyone. I don't think there's any new news that I can wait for, and I prolonged this episode as long as I can. So I think we're gonna end it here. I don't have a outro video to sort of go to, but because this news with Lula, I think is enough. I'll just leave you with this video as we sign out. Make sure you like this video on your way out. Also, if you are watching this on replay or got here late for the live show and wish you would have known earlier to watch it from the beginning, join our Substack and you can get notifications, or you will get notifications if you join our Substack. Also subscribe to us. We're at 24,176 subscribers was at the beginning of the show. Like the stream on your way out, and thank you for watching on this Sunday. I'll be back here probably with Nick, most likely with Nick, for Nick and CJ tomorrow.